Where are you?
Where am I?
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yeah, where you're
I'm
in
in
James
Casino
Bond. You're
Royale.
playing James Bond.
Yeah, I'm in
Playing...
Spies, mate.
So, oh, right, it's for the. Right, I'm with you. Right, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're joined by Alex. Alex is gonna help us go through this. Well, what are we gonna go through, Alex? You help me out here.
Okay, well, today we are going to talk about the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Bill 2021, was it?
It is.
And this is a bill which aims to allow, should we put it as simply as possible? It's a bill that allows agents of the state to commit any crime without fear of prosecution. Any crime up to including things like murder, torture, blackmail, sexual violence, etc. Shall we bring up the bill? Oh, you've got the bill on the screen there. Lovely jubbly. So this bill relates to like the activities of MI5.
Hang on a minute.
Should we
It's
explain what
not.
covert human
It,
intelligence source is?
right. That's not entirely correct though, is it? Like this is for them, but it's not just for them.
Yeah, we'll
It's,
get into that, but there's a bit more range to it than just MI5. But MI5
this
use
is
covert
effectively
intelligence sources, don't they?
making normal people MI5 agents. Like the police can say you're going to be
Well,
an
should we show
agent
them
now.
should we show them the MI5 page about covert human intelligence
Right.
sources,
That's
what they
right.
are,
That's
and
a
just
good
have a little
idea.
go through on them?
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Cool. So covert human intelligence sources, what are they? They're also known as agents. They're not formally employed by MI5, so they call their staff officers. You can go on their careers page if you're interested in working for them. Agents are some of the most significant information sources we have as an organisation, and they provide information that's critical to keeping the UK safe. Agents work alongside specifically trained MI5 staff members known as case officers or agent handlers.
Handlers, mate.
Yes, so when we talk about MI5 handlers, this is what we're referring to. These are the people that are controlling the activities of these agents, these covert human intelligence sources. So, agent, covert human intelligence source, or CHIS, they're the same thing. So they're not employed formally by MI5 or whoever's using them. They might be paid, they might be compensated in some way, but they're not formally employed. So I guess there's a degree of what would you call it? Like freedom of liability there.
Plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability and lack of liability as well, limited liability. So they say, although we're not publicly able to recognise individuals who help, it's no exaggeration to say that they really are unsung heroes. They claim that they take the safety of their agents as top priority, and that anything they ask the agents to do will be carefully planned in advance to identify and minimise any potential risk. And they claim that they will never compel anyone to do anything that they're not willing to do. Now, bear this in mind later when we start looking at who can be a covert human intelligence source, because that's all really important stuff. They say that agents and caseworkers operate within a strict legal framework that gives limits on what they can and cannot do. Now, the strict legal framework is made up of two parts. It's made up of the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act, RIPA, and it's also made up of the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Act. So they both have slightly different roles, but really we should just call the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Act the Legalized Murder Act or something like that, because it does effectively legalize any crime for these agents. And look, these agents are not employed by the state. These agents are not. They've made that clear already. So people who are not employed by the state but are being used by the state are under this act being authorized the power to commit any crime. So they talk a lot of other interesting bullshit as we go down here. How do we know if what I'm asked to do is okay and legal? Well, anything's legal, dude. You can kill people. Like, we've just made that the law. So they reference the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Code of Practice, which again we'll look at. But the Code of Practice is really like just abstractions from the Act. They say that they don't ever use blackmail or force to get people, or force people to get information from. Aren't you just spying on the community? No. MI5 investigates threats to national security posed by particular groups or individuals. We do not investigate and do not wish to investigate entire communities. I'm not sure how you read that. We're only interested in individuals who are actively planning to do things that could harm others, such as carrying out a terrorist attack, and are supporting those wanting to harm others, such as fundraising or training. Any other information that protects us from spying by other countries. Well, I thought that was MI6's job, but whatever. Does MI5 talk to people who have extremist or criminal backgrounds? Yes. We talk to anyone who can help us understand more about the threats we face, regardless of their background. This does mean that some of the people we talk to will have been involved in extremism or criminal activities. Who can I tell what I'm doing? Well, they protect their privacy and security by strictly limiting who they tell about their relationship and would never confirm its existence to members of the public. Right, so they've just told us that they're liars and they keep stuff secret, and everything that you see from MI5 you can take from with a pinch of salt, because they are very much a legalized criminal gang that operates mostly in the shadows. So should we have a little look through the Act, Jim?
Right.
See.
Yeah, let's do that. Should we see who they'll use, who they're going to be?
Yeah. So that leads into it. So they were saying, what were they saying? They're saying they're not going to force people to do things. They're not going to, sort of coerce people or make people do things they don't want to do. It's pretty interesting they'd say that, but they've also got provision for using both vulnerable adults and children within this. So I don't know if you want to read that bit out, Jim, because I can't quite see it on mine.
It says, this section applies in relation to the grant of juvenile criminal conduct authorization. A juvenile criminal conduct authorization is an authorization under section 29B for criminal conduct in the course or in otherwise in connection with the conduct of a covert human intelligence source, where that source is under the age of 18, the juvenile source. So that's under the age of 18 they're using to start. Right. And
is there any stipulation on how young these people can be that they would use?
Well, it says under 18, doesn't it?
But they don't. There's no sort of minimum age stated.
There's no floor. No.
There's no floor, so they could basically use little children.
Yeah, right. So that's that bit. This bit here. No, where's this bit? That's the.
Just bringing that up as well.
I'm trying to find the bit where it says about the retards.
Are they just fucking with us again? Now, I was just going to say to chat, when we were researching this, every time we searched for it, throughout the course of a day, all the search results were in a different order. It was extremely hard to actually find the documents that we'd find the document once, and then it'd be really difficult to find again for some weird reason. So authorities, I'm just going to go through in the meantime. Authorities that are capable of authorising criminal conduct, guys. So this is who's going to be able to use this, or who's going to be able to authorise someone else to do it, right? So any police force, the National Crime Agency, the Serious Fraud Office, any of the intelligence services, any of Her Majesty's forces, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, the Department of Health and Social Care, the Home Office, the Ministry of Justice, the Competition and Markets Authority, the fucking Environment Agency, the Financial Conduct Authority, the Food Standards Agency, and the Gambling Commission. Right now, I correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't really see a need for, say, the Food Standards Agency, or the Environment Agency to be able to commit serious crimes for any reason, really, like let alone without fear of prosecution. Why would the Environment Agency or do you know what I mean? It's very, very strange that they wouldn't, because we'll get onto this as well. But when they were putting the bill through court and various readings, David Davis did make some comments on this, and he's quite well qualified to make comments, as he was involved in drafting the Intelligence Services Act 1994. So we'll watch that video in a little bit, because that that does relate to this. But I just think it's incredibly wide-ranging. It's pretty much any part of the government can either employees of them commit serious crimes without fear of prosecution, or agents that they are using who are associated with them but not employed by them, who can commit crimes without fear of prosecution.
And all of these companies here can authorize agents. They can authorize.
Yeah, so the intelligence services, the armed forces, revenue and customs, various government departments, and other bodies like the Environment Agency and Food Standards.
All these.
So that, you know, that's a wide range of, and this is the thing. There's no limiting. The reason they haven't put limits in to say, oh, okay, you can't murder, is because they say, well, we've already got the Human Rights Act, but the Human Rights Act hasn't stopped them transgressing the Human Rights Act multiple times in the past. So essentially what you've got is a system where it's legal for the government to commit as much crime as they want now, and it's not legal for you to commit crime. We've got a completely it's like any sort of vague facade of liberal democracy that we had at this stage died with this bill, and many before it, to be fair. But like this is just like shitting on the grave, isn't it, really? What are you looking for, Jim?
I think I sent you the photo of the tards, no? Vulnerable adult critter, yeah, it's 290.
290. So many fucking tabs open at the moment.
Yes, hang on. It says no, it's 29D. It's not 290, 29D. 29C. What? Oh.
For the purposes of subsection 4B, a juvenile criminal conduct authorization is an authorization under section 29B of the regulatory. So you want the Ripper, mate, 2000.
Right, look, it says here on the screenshot I sent you, which is from this Human Resources.
Right.
So the vulnerable adult criminal conduct authorization is an authorization under section 29B for criminal conduct in the course of or otherwise in connection with the conduct.
Yeah, that's under oversight by the Investigatory Powers Commissioner. Section 7.
Yeah, but look, it says for the purpose of this section, a vulnerable adult is a person aged 18 or over who by reason of mental disorder or vulnerability, disability, age or illness is or may be unable to take care of themselves or to protect themselves against significant harm or exploitation. And it's on about giving them a conduct authorization. Do you know what I mean? Criminal conduct authorization.
So
to use the TARDs as well is the point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where is this bit though?
Yeah, I mean, we've established they're going to be using, but they can and will and do, right? This is the point. They already do use these people as covert human intelligence sources, yeah? The idea that they're not, this is not a new thing, that they're going to be using, like, vulnerable adults and children. They do. They use vulnerable adults and children
that's
currently.
what I'm saying.
All they're doing is just codifying the power for them to commit crimes without fear of prosecution. And it's not that they don't already commit crimes, because they do already commit crimes. They're just, there was a reason they're putting in that they can't be prosecuted. If they weren't already committing crimes, then they wouldn't need to put in this immunity from prosecution. David Davis makes an interesting point as well in that video where he's in Parliament speaking. He says about most of the crimes that these laws and these powers were originally brought in to deal with, that it's expanded so much since that point that now these are excessive, these powers. I mean, like, we shouldn't need to say that they're excessive. They're clearly, like, beyond ridiculously. It's like a parody. Do you want to roll the video, Jim?
Right. Needs not hear that though.
No, I don't think they can. Have you got audio?
I'm gonna sort it out now.
He's gonna sort the audio through.
Mentions to be brief, and so although I am in support of the intention, amendments under the name of the Mother of the House, and the Right Honourable Member for Orkney and Shetland, the member for Streatham, and the member for Walthamstow, I'm going to focus solely on Amendment 13. There is no doubt there is a need for a bill like this. The terrorist gangs and going undercover as an informant is a dangerous and risky work, and often requires breaking of the law. And this bill enables authorization of
often requires breaking of the law, yeah? They've already stated that.
My Amendment 13, in my name and a number of others, explicitly exempts the most serious crimes of murder, torture, rape, and others from powers in the bill. And the government argues that this is not necessary because the Human Rights Act already limits its actions. So the question before the House today is, do we believe that? Do we think that is sufficient? Back in the early 1990s, I was one of the ministers who took through the Secret Intelligence Service Act through the House. In that act,
he can't even remember what it's fucking called.
Now clause, or now Section 7, which enabled MI6 officers abroad to commit crimes in the interests of the state. Inevitably, in the tabloid press, it became known as the James Bond clause, but that is actually precisely what it was not. It was not a license to kill. It was a license to bribe, burgle, blackmail, bug, but it was not a license
Pause it, Jim.
to kill.
It's a license to blackmail. Hang on a minute, MI5. What did you say on your website? I seem to remember MI5 saying that they don't get people to blackmail. Why would they need a license to blackmail if they don't do that? Does that make sense to you, Jim? Does that make sense to you?
No, but if you remember what they said at the end, they're willing to lie about everything that they do to you.
Yeah. So this is just to bear this in mind.
Just because I think that it's just the fact that it was a leaving note. It's what they said as they left you. They left you with that. Just think about that. We've told you all this, but then we're willing to lie about it all as well. So. I don't know. Yeah, what he's got, because I thought it was very telling as well. The little adjustment of the glasses when he said, "I brought this forward." Like, I don't know. I think he's one of them, mate.
Of course he is. This is the dialectic at play, isn't it? This is so they can have stand up and go, "Oh, this was debated properly," and la da da da. Oh, I can't hear you. Hang on a sec, I've lost all fucking audio.
I muted myself.
Oh, did you? I'm back.
Yeah. So he took a stance against the COVID stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. I'm really bad at remembering for voting record stuff.
I don't know, because I find it curious. I find it curious. I'm sure it was him and Baker as well. Baker tried to do a little standy up bit as well, and him trying to talk out against this sort of stuff, and then Baker before tried to bring forward a debate about money into creation and the fractional
reserve banking, yeah.
fractional reserve banking. And I don't know. It seems like you always get. There's a couple of characters that always seem to be trying to do shit for people, but they're obviously they're the wolves in sheep's clothing, as it were.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, it's just the dialectic process, isn't it? They've got to have the back and forth, and they've got to have it look like it's somewhat. That's why we had. It's just the facade of democracy is getting like less and less. They're putting less and less fucking energy into keeping it up, really, aren't they? I mean, when the camera pans out, as we watch this, you just see how few people are in there to like fucking to talk about important things like this, like whether the Food Standards Agency can kill your kids or something. Do you know what I mean? Like legally, it's just sad, isn't it?
That's just what he says.
Nevertheless, within a decade, Clause 7 was being used to authorize rendition, torture, mass invasion of people's privacy, innocent people's privacy, crimes which were never countenanced when the Act was put in place. I know, I did all the work behind it. So it should be understood that the authorization of those crimes, often within the United Kingdom, occurred after the Human Rights Act had been passed. Indeed, while the ink was still wet on its pages in some cases. And it provided precisely zero protection. Neither did the European Convention on Human Rights, the International Convention on Torture, the 1949 Geneva Convention, to all of which we are signatories, and some of which are absolutely binding in law. So no protection was provided by these whatsoever. So that's why I want us to vote for. Yes, of course we do.
I'm advisable friend giving way, and he has huge experience in this area, I know, both legislatively and previously professionally. He is an expert. But can I just ask him, if a checklist, as he suggests, is put on the face of this bill, is that not also a checklist for terrorist gang leaders to prove a rite of passage and loyalty to somebody who might be working covertly on behalf of our national security interests?
Well, I'll say a couple of things. Firstly, if the gangster is smart enough to read the Act, he's smart enough to read the Human Rights Act.
See what I mean? I said that's what you said.
The second thing is, in my clause, in my Article 13, I put in specifically a reference to the DPP, so that if my honourable friend is in such a circumstance and he has to do something violent to prevent himself being killed, that is an exoneration for the DPP. So it specifically allows that clouding, if you like, of the judgment. And indeed, sorry, and I would draw his attention to the intervention in the Times last week. I was going to mention it later, but I'll mention it now. The intervention in the Times last week by one of the best directors of public prosecutions of modern times, Lord Ken MacDonald. He's not my politics, but he's very, very experienced, and he knows all about these things. And he described this as soprano watching judgments, or soprano watching logic. And I'm afraid I agree with him. And I'll come back and illustrate why in a second. Now, officers, as my honourable friend says, in the intelligence and the policing agencies can face huge pressure to authorise improper criminal activity, particularly when the demands on the agencies themselves become enormous. We saw.
Pause it, Jim. What does he mean by that?
When after
What bit?
Improper criminal activity.
Improper criminal activity.
To authorise improper criminal activity, particularly when the demands on the agencies themselves become enormous.
They got enormous demands on security agencies to commit heinous crimes. Was it? What? No.
Who's putting these enormous demands on them to commit those crimes?
Because
these guys are the ones who are here, supposedly in charge of making the laws that control these intelligence services. Yeah. So is it these guys putting extreme pressure on them to commit these heinous crimes? You know. Why are they under pressure to commit these crimes?
That's weird the way he said it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a strange bit of language.
We saw this after 9/11, when after the dodgy dossier, we had all the rendition issues occur. The people doing that, I always said in those
rendition issues of all the dossiers. What does he mean?
He's talking about the people getting taken to Guantanamo Bay and stuff like that, I think. And the stuff that got released to do with like the Snowden leaks and shit. Maybe he's referring to the Snowden leaks and just doesn't want to say the Snowden leaks in Parliament. Maybe they're not allowed to talk about that.
That's blatantly what he's talking about.
Under the wrong circumstances, anyway.
Because I want to be bringing up the way that they're torturing fucking journalists that have tried to speak out about it and tried to get out the word about it. That's to glide over that.
Days. We must not prosecute these intelligence agencies or the individuals because they were trying to prevent a 9/11 happening at Canary Wharf, but it was still wrong. And these
can you pick up them pictures of
indefensible actions by the state and their agents?
What?
Can you pick up them pictures? Bring up them pictures of what was Lindy something or other, the one that had like their Maraquis tied up with like a dog leash around their neck and all that stuff. Do you remember? Do you remember them pictures of
the
like
Marines?
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, the Marines that had like Iraqis like with like dog collars and leads on them and stuff, and like sitting on them and things like that, and like laughing. There's photos like got the leaks, wasn't there, of them?
Yeah, no.
It's like but you can't blame them, because they were trying to stop the 9/11 by doing that, putting Iraqis in the dog collar, and they yanked them out of their fucking family home, and then just sitting on them and fucking laughing.
What were you talking about before this? What about the +1 thing with all the kids and the rest of it? We was talking about this earlier on.
Oh yeah, okay. So like during I don't know how the US policy works now. You can probably find better information videos about this, but like during like say Obama's drone striking period, they would have like a policy of a +1. So they did like verifiably kill children before who were completely innocent because they were with someone that they deemed to be a suitably threatening target. There was things about like weddings and stuff like that getting drone striked, wasn't there? That was like not a rare occurrence. +1 was a policy for dangerous targets, and they would kill people when they were out with their kids and stuff. So that's it. Just because it happens in other countries, that was what you said, isn't it, Jim? Why do people think it's not going to happen here, or it doesn't happen here?
So, all right, let's listen to this cunt anyway.
Roll the Davis.
Occur at the darkest times in our history. We must remember that. And we must write our laws to cope with the darkest times in our history, which is what we're trying to do here today. Now, I'm going to pick an example which the honourable members in Northern Ireland will say cannot happen now, and they're right. But I want to use it to illustrate. For example, there's the murder of the prominent Belfast lawyer, Pat Finucane, who in 1989 was shot 14 times.
He starts erring and grabbing his glasses like fuck during that, doesn't he? He's a bit uncomfortable.
The loyalist groups responsible for the murder of Finucane had been infiltrated by UK intelligence operatives.
I think he was a younger man then. He was actually involved in the intelligence agency right then.
Identifying, targeting, and murdering Mr. Finucane. It also found the state supply the weapon and facilitate its disappearance.
You find the people that bring forward that with certain
that senior army officers
and the rest of it normally progress from the revolving door and how it is in politics.
Responsible for seriously obstructing the investigation. As a result,
Lindy England, he's got it. Johnny Redfield, good lad.
Apologised for the actions of the British state. Now, the point about this is it's not the only violation that occurred during the Troubles, and we all know the terrible pressures that applied to everybody, even people in this house, during that time. But that's what we have to accommodate. From rendition to murder, not at the behest of the state, but at the acquiescence of the state. I give one.
On this point about rendition, he will recall the intelligence and security
acquiescence to who?
The Belhaj and Bujahar cases said that effectively what had been done there was that our services had outsourced work that they were not allowed to do in law themselves. Doesn't that alone indicate that these services require proper independent scrutiny? They should not be left to mark their own homework.
Right. And of course, one of the things we shouldn't forget in all of this was that clause that was used.
It is like a
required
wizard with that
ministerial
old hand, man.
approval, not approval by an officer
Look at
in
him.
the pressure of the, as it were, almost
Conducting
the
the
battlefield,
whole
sometimes,
fucking
but a
room.
minister in Whitehall approved it, and it still happened. Now, there
Who
were
was
two
the minister who
inquiries,
approved
two
that
such
guy getting
inquiries.
gunned down?
One by Lord Stevens, who again I say to my
Every
humble friend,
time,
there's
mate.
nobody
Every
suffered
time.
in this. He did two inquiries into these problems, and by Sir Desmond de Silva. And the Silva concluded that the problems required some recognised limits as to the extent which agents should become involved in criminal enterprises, and a rigorous regulatory framework to prevent abuses. A rigorous regulatory framework to prevent abuses, not a woolly reference to the Human Rights Act, but a rigorous thing. I give up.
I'm very glad that my right honourable friend is making a very powerful speech. References as well as Lord Stevens of Kirk Walpington, also the late Sir Desmond de Silva, someone who's knew personally, and of course came up that from long experience at the criminal bar, and also the experience of being a prosecutor in the International War Crimes Tribunals. Certainly, again, he was no
They
soft
do like
touch.
a bunch
He
of
was
any
used
old
to going
nonsense,
after
don't they?
bad
Masonic
people, but believed
nonsense,
it was
mate.
necessary
Look at
to do
them.
so within proper constraints.
Yeah, and my humble friend's absolutely right. And
Look at him.
he actually tells me why now that Sir Desmond did something else in his report. He quoted Lord Atkin, who in a landmark case during World War II said, and I quote, "Amidst the clash of arms, the laws are not silent. They may be changed, but they speak the same language in war as in peace." And I'm afraid this bill, necessary as it is, does not meet that test. And that's the problem in front of us. Yeah, all right. The chairman will kill me, but never mind. Wait.
Right honourable friend giving away. He quite rightly mentions the Pat Finucane case, which correctly David Cameron, then Prime Minister, apologised for. But does he also recognise that since then, the security services have more judicial oversight than ever before? Then we didn't have the Investigatory Powers Commissioner, and even the powers of this House to have more oversight of the security services has increased. There's been a marked difference. Times have changed.
Well, they've changed a bit. One of the things that the 94 Act created was the Intelligence and Security Committee. And the Intelligence and Security Committee tried to look into rendition and torture.
Tried to look in.
That's
This
what-
bit's important.
Under its previous chairman. And it was refused access to 15 cases.
Right, so that's like people trying to regulate what they're up to and that, yeah. That's the.
So the
people
only bit about oversight within the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Criminal Conduct Act 2021 is this is the only bit about oversight. It's oversight by the Investigatory Powers Commissioner, which they were just talking about. So they don't. The Investigatory Powers Commissioner could just get denied access to stuff like they did with 15 cases before.
That's it. No, nothing to be said about it. Nothing like that's your lot. You just get denied access. Computer says no.
Yeah, and also they don't have to overlook all of it as well. The only bits that they need to make sure that public authorities are complying with any requirements imposed on them by RIPA, the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act, is in relation to juvenile and criminal conduct authorizations and vulnerable adult criminal conduct authorizations. So juvenile criminal and adult vulnerable adult criminal. So like you said, as you put it, the tards and the kids.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that actually gets proper oversight. If they're not using tards or kids, it's they don't have. They just basically choose whether to grant or renew authorizations.
But I think it's important,
And they've got to keep that under review. They don't actually do the power; they just keep under review.
But it's worth. It is definitely worth looking at the fact and noting down that they do on record use tards and children. Like they've got legislation in place for them to be able to do that legally. That's the point.
And not just that, like, so they use the kids, they use vulnerable adults, and they go as far as all those crimes that they previously listed. And this has all been made legal. Now
But
this is the law.
I think because that's made me think, like, what happens?
I wonder why they needed to start being able to commit crimes legally, or be able to have legal immunity from crimes, which they already commit, starting in 2021. I wonder why it would be then.
So look, the Department of Health and Social Care, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? They're gonna get people. They're gonna get children and vulnerable adults. Do you know what I mean? What are they up to? Right.
What are they up to?
I don't know. Anyway, this isn't carry on. This is kind of...
Did you know that
So that I am
they've got
now
a national threat level indicator on the MI5 website, and like it basically there's low, which I don't know if it's ever low, seemingly from the history, and then there's moderate, substantial, severe, and critical. So it's just like fucking, it's really bad, it's really bad, it's really bad. Like, and that's the only modes that they have. So like when you look through the history, it just seems to be like severe, critical, substantial, severe, substantial. Like they basically see as being constantly under threat. This is information from JTAC analysis, and it basically talks about setting the threat level for Great Britain, including Islamist terrorism and the right and left wing terrorism in Northern Ireland. So I'm pretty sure that's not the extent of what they do, is it?
Right. Yeah. This
government
see what
on
you
exactly this to
surmise
force
is.
them to have a proper judge-led tribunal. So even now, it's not good enough. Not after 20 years, it's still not good enough. And the trouble is that others do it better. America and Canada learnt the hard way that the need to include specific limits in the crimes that agents can commit. In these countries, both informants and their handlers were involved in carrying out numerous cases of racketeering and murder, and they were found out. And since, both countries have set clear limits. And just as an aside here, in terms of the overall public interest of this, we all want our agents to be able to work.
So he's just said blatantly, if you give these people carte blanche to fucking free reign to do whatever they want, they're going to get involved in racketeering and murder. We've got case study with Canada and America.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And they'll be allowed to do it as well.
Yeah.
They are allowed to do it. This law's already come in, you know?
Yeah.
The eye investigation found was actually the lack of limits, the woolliness of the controls led to more crimes, not less. The so-called soprano effect worked in reverse in terms of protecting the national interest or the public interest. So the bill puts no express limits on the crimes agencies can authorise, not murder, not torture, not rape. And it claims Human Rights Act provides this safeguard. But their own submissions in court, already referred to by the lady for the SNP earlier, and indeed the member for Orkney and Cheltenham, I think, also earlier, showed that they don't. Their own lawyers don't believe it. And I would say to the House, actually, if they got a quiet time travelling back to the constituencies, they should read the Investigatory Powers Tribunal findings on the behaviour of the agencies. It's almost a James Bond novel in its own right. The scathing descriptions of the operations are worth reading.
Maybe need to do a stream on that one, Jim.
So the amendment, Amendment 13, addresses the most egregious elements of the bill. It puts hard limits on the extent of criminal conduct can be authorised by officers, specifically prohibits murder, torture, serious bodily harm, sexual assault, and other heinous crimes. Crucially, Amendment 13 explicitly permits prosecutors to drop a case in a situation where an agent is truly forced to participate in a serious crime, and a decision not to prosecute is in the public interest. There is a real need for legislation.
So he's talking about people raping people and it not being. He's talking about agents raping civilians and it not being in the public's interest to prosecute them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, bear in mind, they did not put this Amendment 13 or whatever it is in there. This is not in there. They didn't want to stop agents from being able to rape or torture or murder people. So that shows you the intent, really, doesn't it, behind it?
Yeah, it reminds me when I hear things like that. It reminds me a lot. I said about it the other day. Of have you seen V for Vendetta?
Yes, I have seen V for Vendetta. Yeah.
You know when the two coppers grab the girl and start raping her in the street and that.
At the start, are they going to? They don't start. That's just your head cannon.
Yeah. That's what it reminds me of, mate. That's where I think we're going with all this.
Well, it's a kind of a narco-tyranny, and that's what I've been saying. We are slipping into a narco-tyranny where more serious crimes go unpunished, yet like small procedural crimes, have people have their lives fucked over. But rampant criminality from like the entrenched criminal political class is okay. David Davis during that said in Parliament that a minister authorised the shooting of that lawyer in Northern Ireland. That was authorised by a minister. And that's one of the ones that's come out. You think of all the things.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't reckon that's an isolated incident. I reckon more often than not, when stuff like that happens, it's on the say so of some fucking suit like this cunt.
Of course it is, but I found it quite interesting how he kept making references to the fact that they were under pressure, and the fact that like they didn't like perpetrate these crimes; they acquiesced to them or whatever. It's like, well, acting like it's all out of your hands, like.
Yeah.
No, you're literally bringing in this fucking bill in Parliament right now. You're standing there acting like it's not. Oh, sorry, mate, nothing I can do about it. But at the same time, like you're the ones bringing it in. The level of it's just completely disingenuous.
But his constituents all think he's lovely.
Well, I'm sure they all don't.
Well, no. I'm sure they all don't.
So
a real need, but the bill as it stands carries real risks of serious injustice. My amendments will give the intelligence services the protections they need, but stop short of giving them the carte blanche authorization to carry out the heinous crimes and aims of
heinous
that
crimes
have happened too often in the past.
Too often in the past. What is he on about? That there's his amendments. Nobody wanted his amendments, though. That's the issue, mate.
Yeah.
What else have we got to go over?
Well, I mean, there's the.
The reason that I think it's very important is because this is why. Let me tell everyone why I wanted to go over this bill with everyone. It's because I think it's important now. People are talking about getting active and they want to organise and they want to do this, that, and the other. I think everyone should just bear in mind spy cops, bear in mind what extent these people will go to see out their means. Like they think they're fucking James Bond and that, don't they? They're doing weird shit in the name of being a spy cop and that, and they will use children, they will use retards. And this, do you know what I mean? At any stage, any civvy could turn into Agent Smith. I think we're there with this. This is effectively what this means, as far as I can see.
Yeah, because it's not just these employees of these agencies that can do it. It's anyone that they choose to engage as an agent who's not employed by them as well. So it's going to mean that like almost anyone could be,
designated person. They call
a designated person who's a glowy. Essentially, I've just sent you in the back chat, Jim. If you want to bring it up on the screen, just the authorization of criminal conduct things, because this is section 1. This is the meat of the bill, and this essentially lays out the scope of these criminal conduct authorizations.
Blast. I keep doing the wrong thing. Hang on.
I just dropped it in the StreamYard back chat.
It's there, so I put it on there.
That was it. Cool. So going through there, we'll skip a bit of some of the blah blah just to make it a little bit more digestible.
What did you send me?
The Covert Human Intelligence Sources Criminal Conduct Act, authorization of criminal conduct. It's in the back chat.
Right, yeah, no, that is what we're looking at. Yeah,
yeah. We'll just skip a little bit of the fluff because of
just
wordiness.
So what you want to look at? This is what I have.
Highlighted. Criminal conduct authorization. They basically are talking about like why they would grant it. So this is an important bit. 29B section 5. The criminal conduct authorization is necessary. So this is why they'll grant it. The criminal conduct authorization is necessary on grounds falling within the subsection if it's necessary in the interests of national security for the purpose of preventing or detecting crime or of preventing disorder, and in the interests of the economic well-being of the United Kingdom.
It's pretty scary sounding, isn't it? When they say that, it's like
So it's not just to prevent serious crime like MI5 would have you believe on their website. We're using it to prevent serious crime, serious terrorism. But also like we might get like the tax collector to like fucking kidnap your children in interests of the economic well-being of the United Kingdom.
It's fucking nuts, mate.
Yeah. So really, there's not much limitation. They just say that you need, if you couldn't get the information you need to get or do what you need to do without committing crime, then you get the authorization. Basically, they're saying they'll only grant it if you couldn't get it some other way. But a lot of these things would necessitate crime if the action that they need to commit is criminal. So, like I said, there's very little in the way of checks and balances overall. People need to be aware of this, like you say, when organising. And maybe another stream. We talked about the that one before, didn't we? Did we talk about that on stream? The handbook, or did I just send you that? The Special Demonstration Service Handbook, or Tradecraft Manual, it's called. It's from the Spy Cops scandal.
Yes, I remember you sending me that. Yeah, a little while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Tradecraft manual that describes how to infiltrate protest movements. It's pretty good and it's quite comprehensive. There's a lot of stuff redacted from it, but it's extremely interesting if you've been to any protest or been part of a protest scene or anything like that. It's interesting reading because obviously over the course of many years, and there's still a big investigation ongoing as to like the extent of it. But it was the Spy Cop scandal where lots of undercover police infiltrated groups, got protesters pregnant, and played false identities for like years and years, to the extent of having children with people. One woman said that she claimed she was raped by the state. So they already are raping people. We said that they're going to get authorization to do that. No, they've already done that. They already had authorization to do that. They've done it. They married and double lives, Victoria. Exactly right. So the level of deceit that these people will go to, it's just something you've got to bear in mind whilst organising in any way. If you want to start organising, if you want to start doing things, within your community, if you want to start rejecting these bad things that are going on and embracing a better way of living, then you just need to be aware that there are going to be people who are going to be trying to throw spanners in the works. You just need to, be aware of that, basically. And it does come back to some of the classic J-Trig tactics: discredit, promote distrust, dissuade, deceive, disrupt, delay, deny, denigrate / degrade, and deter. as we said before, if you see people using those tactics, trying to discredit people, trying to promote distrust, trying to dissuade them from positive activism, trying to deceive them about facts, for example, trying to disrupt their activism or delay it, trying to deny the truth of things. If you see them trying to put people down and denigrate them or degrade them for no reason, if you see them trying to put people off and deter them, these are all the actions. We got to drill this into people, because like these are things people need to be aware of and reject from movements.
100%.
Because if people want to organise, you know, you need to be aware that there are snakes in the grass.
That's right. Gaslighting glowies.
Yeah, we know that the obviously the protest scene has been completely infiltrated. Anyway, there's been much fucking talk about this since the start. What the whole like freedom movement and whatever you want to call it has turned into now, like mass awakening of schizoids, like whatever it is. It's just a lot of people. It's not just people within this movement. There's a lot of people who are outside the movement as well, isn't there? There's people who are like average people who are just fucking fed up with a lot of the stuff that's going on.
Rightly too, mate.
Yeah, and so like we just need to be very, 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 very cautious about this sort of stuff, whilst still not becoming paranoid, not becoming, you know, just be armed with information. We'll get as much of this information out as we can about this sort of thing, and people we just got to go about it, you know, in a smart way, and still people try and do things, create communities, do positive things, but just be aware of people trying to sabotage that. Essentially, everyone's a glowy. England for the English. Everyone's a glowy. That's the rule of the game, mate.
Oh yeah. Cheerful dream.
Yeah, well, you know, obviously I'm going to start dropping black pills left. It's not that. It's just that these things are like inherently black pilling, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? When your government says, "Oh yeah, we're going to make it okay for agents of the state to, you know, rape, murder, etc.," that's kind of black pilling, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's a bitter one to swallow, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of one, but is it, again, like I say, it's not something people should get overly paranoid, depressed, etc. about. It's just bear these things in mind and the way that you conduct yourself. Do you know what I mean?
You say that, but what, fucking, you're talking about. We've seen the way that they've been. I don't know about you, right? But in schools, they're now talking to children about conspiracy theories and the dangers of conspiracy theories, and whether or not their parents are conspiracy theorists.
Yep.
Now, the way that all this is poised, I would suggest that any sort of political dissidence will be framed as fucking a terrorist threat, a national threat. So, to say not to be too worried about it, it's like, well, if you do want to see any sort of change and you want to be involved in any sort of change, then this is a real concern. You shouldn't worry about anything but concern.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm saying. It's a real concern. These are 100%, but don't let it immobilize you. Yeah, don't let it paralyze you. Don't let it control you. Be aware of these things and tackle them using the knowledge that you can get by looking into this stuff. Like, go on Jim's Telegram if you're not already on Jim's Telegram. Join Jim's Telegram. We post like information and stuff there. That's a place where, you know, you can get some of this stuff occasionally. We'll try and, I mean, you're going to be doing like a series of these sort of streams, aren't you, with a focus on like lawful rebellion, actually people getting up off their arse finally and getting together and start making positive change.
Yeah, right. That was the plan.
So, I mean, yeah, today we covered the Covert Human Intelligence Sources Act and the way that people are going to try and stop you from organising and the way that they're going to try and dissuade you from doing it and fuck up your plans. There's a lot of other topics, obviously, in the titled description that are going to be just as crucial to the whole picture. You know, this is a bit blackpilling, yeah, but this is important mechanics because this is stuff that you need to know in terms of getting together and, you know, actually organising and being able to do it without being completely what's the word I'm looking for? Sabotaged.
Mm. I think as well we need to go over some sort of pragmatic plan for actually how we can combat these things, like without I don't know, you say this, but it's like without a full-on revolution, what can you do?
Well, this is putting the cart before the horse a little bit, because like the first obviously step is to like start rejecting elements of the current culture that we don't like, and the current elements of society. Obviously, that's a whole different topic about getting into things further than that. But with regards to actually just getting organised, how do we do that sort of thing? Just by having the knowledge of how they're going to disrupt it. This is just one little piece of the puzzle, one like little piece, and there's going to be a lot of other pieces to this puzzle of starting bringing people together to actually make positive changes in some way. I mean, people are going to have to, like we said about not complying and stuff like that. There's levels to it, isn't it? People have just got to start getting a little bit smarter about this whole thing. So, does sticking stickers on a building and getting arrested, like what does that really do at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, nice. It probably ain't the fucking best idea, is it? There's probably more proactive ways you could do something.
There's definitely a lot of proactive
we're not in a stage where we're trying to spread awareness about any sort of fucking inoculation or anything. We're well beyond that now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a stage where people were blind to what was going on, and their life was imminently in danger, and sticker in windows and hospitals, and that made a bit more sense. But now,
yes,
I think you're right, mate. It is a bit of a fucking.
We clearly moved past that, and that's why the bottom fell out of the whole. Because they were anti-lockdown protests. That's what the protests were, wasn't it? Originally, they were anti-lockdown protests. So obviously, when the lockdown ends, it's a bit mental having anti-lockdown protests still. So it took a little bit of a transitional time for things to start. It seems that a movement is kind of forming a bit again now and becoming a little bit more coherent off the back. I say coherent, that's complete bollocks. It's not a coherent movement at all. It doesn't fucking have a clue what's going on. There's absolutely no organisation whatsoever. It's a complete and utter shit show. I mean, either 77th are doing an extremely good job, or people are just incredibly hard to organise, especially a bunch of conspiracy schizos. So yeah, we need to start being a little bit more organised about things. I think a lot of people are starting to get the same idea now, that we need to start being a little bit more organised. We can't just be completely reactionary about things all the time. We need to start thinking about longer term solutions to the problem, really. Johnny Red Pill Seed says he bets Russell Brand will come and grift off the movement. It's funny you should say that. I was speaking to Wilsey from Resistance GB yesterday, and he's got some very good ideas. And I said the sick thing is, that you could make a lot of videos on these ideas and stuff, and you still wouldn't get as much exposure as Russell Brand just swooping in at the last minute and making one video about it. and that's the mad thing, isn't it? They've got these things so captured, like the
audience, mate.
Yeah, all the media, internet, blah blah blah. It's just yeah. We need to start thinking about these things, like you say, solutions to them, and we need to start being a little bit smarter in the way we go about things.
We need civic policing. We need
a lot of things.
We need pillion principles of civic policing. We need.
Do we need a constitution?
We've got a constitution.
Mm-hmm.
We need it to be enacted, mate. That's the issue.
So we've got various groups talking about that kind of thing, haven't you? I mean, maybe having some people on to talk about constitutional law and where we're at with that and where we should go with that would be a good idea. Just because if we're gonna, yeah, I know we have England for the English. So I know we have, mate. Yeah, we need to start thinking about the foundation that we're going to build these things on, etc.
Got no one that can join me fucking thing, mate. It's what happens and you plug it. No one wants to join it.
What's that? Telegram?
Yeah.
They're either in the Telegram or they don't have Telegram, or they don't want to be part of the.
They don't want to get drawn into the MI5.
The MI5 honeypot, yeah. Yeah. You should call your Telegram group MI5 honeypot from now on.
Just for the lols.
Yeah, just for the lols. I mean, my email address was info.77 brigade or whatever.
For the longest time.
But yeah, so yeah, I do think. Were you gone to sleep?
Hey, me?
Yeah, I just literally just looked on your screen. I was reading some information.
Nah.
So yeah, I think people should tune in to the remainder of these streams when you do them, because I think there's going to be a lot of information that's going to help people in actually clarifying their ideas within this, and trying to take things forward, and build back better.
You're black pill because you're looking in the wrong place. Is that a Richard Vobes YouTube, or is that a pointing out of Richard Vobes? What is that?
I know Richard Vobes. I mean, this is
that a quote though? Is that a quote?
I'm not blackpilled. We're saying this shit is blackpilling. We're saying specifically don't be blackpilled. Do not be blackpilled by this. It doesn't matter what these dumb retards do, like making their stupid little laws. Yeah, let them do it. Ignore it and just do your own thing. Like, I'm not saying go out and commit crimes. I'm saying just do your own thing and focus on that. Focus your energy into that, and don't just be aware of these things. Oh yeah, we're going to raid someone on the way out.
Who's live?
Get
my channel shut down for this, man.
Oh, Scrump Monkey's live. Scrump Monkey's live. This is a good channel, boys. This is a high IQ dissident channel. I'm going to send you over to Scrump Monkey. Oh, they fucking ended. They literally just ended. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ladies and gents. I was going to send you to a good channel. I do apologise. I'll plug the channel anyway, because his Richard Vobe's new girlfriend, the Handler, his rise was meteoric. His rise was meteoric, wasn't it? Everyone's got a handler. You got a handler, haven't you, Jim?
Yeah, mate.
Except she just physically handles you, helps you in and out of the bath with your poor mobility.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Raid. Jim's just finding someone for us to raid, boys. All right, I'll fucking find someone for us to raid if you want. Should we have someone like wildly...
someone that's got no follower, no one.
Yeah, wildly inappropriate and...
Not wildly inappropriate. Yeah, who's live?
Anne-Marie Waters live.
No, not Anne-Marie Waters, mate.
Piers Morgan Uncensored. Lard. Should we lard him? Has he got a chat? He ain't got a chat. Loser. He hasn't got a chat.
Oh, we should go Nonce Vosh off, mate. Not Vosh, but he's got 7K in there.
Yeah,
man.
We ain't going to make a dent in that, are we? He's probably got slow mode on the loser.
Myth's got 158 people watching him. Didn't even know he streamed on that. It's weirdo.
I don't even know who that is.
There's some fucking child.
Live, Congress holds UFO hearing. Is there not enough people watching that to make it worthwhile?
Some Yankee bird.
Sinead O'Connor, fuck's sake. No one has fucking chat enabled. What's wrong with them? Brett Weinstein podcast. No chat. Oh my God, what an absolute...
Captain Content. Morning walk. This is some fucking IRL streamer, mate. It's like Patrick's dream job, that is. Patrick would love to be an IRL streamer.
Patrick's made his name in restreaming now.
Jamaican Charlos.
I have no idea what this is, but this is some random guy called Adrian Allen's Theatre of the Mind. He's got fucking 197 watching now, and he's got 5.93 thousand subs. I think that sounds like the sort of place that we should go. Do you reckon?
It sounds like he's got a good amount of viewers to how many people he's got subscribed.
Yeah, it does sound like he's got a good amount of viewers. He's like you, isn't
I
he?
wonder what he's talking about.
Got a little core of mental cases that we're dropping this for you boys. We're going on the raid. We're ending now.
Put that in the back one because I can't put that up. I can't click on it.
Oh, right. Hang on a sec. There you go.
Sweet.
Just start mating them off, boys. We're going to mate them off, shall we?
No, fella.
Who are the old fella? Yeah. Drop in there, boys. Give them a mate. So it begins.
Burger raid.
Careful with how long you make the mate as well, because if he's got Nightbot bans you if you do the mate too long. Big up the Spurg Media Collective. He hates Alex Belfield. That's his thing. His thing is hating Alex Belfield. I mean, fuck, I hated Alex Belfield, but then he went to prison. I felt a bit sorry for him. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, fuck, maybe he wasn't like an asset after all. Or maybe he was an asset. He just didn't do what they wanted.
Is he pissed out his head?
I don't know. I haven't been watching him.
Guys. You got fucked.
He's thrown, mate. He's thrown. He's thrown.
We got him. We got him, boys.
Yes. Absolutely mated off that he's fully thrown. Mate. He's seen Welsh's one. He just stopped. He was like, "What?"
You funny cunt.
Oh dear. Good stuff, boys and girls. Good stuff. He does look a bit like Alan Sugar, doesn't he? He's Alan Sugar's alcoholic half brother. Oh mate. Where's my emojis at?
Subversive group.
We're a subversive group.
Lard and bacon. It was Alex.
Yes, everyone start talking about Alex Belfield.
I'm sure we can get fired for this. I feel like I can definitely get.
It's against TOS.
Huh?
It's against TOS.
Well, I don't know. We're just trying to be your mate, ain't we?
Yeah, we're just being a mate.
Lardgate. Is he a bunda?
Alex Belfield, the apprentice. No, I think he's just a Geordie man.
Yeah, I think he's a Geordie Woofter though, isn't he?
No, he doesn't have any mods, Welshie. That's the funniest thing. He doesn't have any mods. He's
You
just
don't have
letting
any
us.
mods?
No,
Nah, you don't,
he's
does
just
he?
letting us run fucking wild in his chat.
Not even fun, is it? If you're not getting banned.
Nice one, Fox and Ban. You're fired.
What is he on about?
How old was Sinead O'Connor? Everyone keeps talking about Sinead O'Connor in chat. How old was she?
Dead.
Oh,
Oh, excuses annoying me. Well, she's trying to get modded on his channel. $56. Fuck me, that ain't very old, is it?
No, I'm thinking it's that seems like an untimely, medically induced death, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say untimely. Well, not realistically. If you fucking seek out them fucking sorts of medical interventions, you know?
Isn't it funny? Like like Dr. John Campbell and like the gradual decline of his mental health.
What are you saying? He's got mental.
No, that's just the way that he's become like considerably different position to what he was initially, let's say.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I feel like he was just another one of them, though, mate. I think he's just another one of them that's what did you call it? Limited hangout fucking situation, mate. It's just limiting your expectations and fucking your reactions to shit, mate. I reckon.
I have thought he's a limited hangout / controlled op since the very start. So, I don't really have much interest in him, to be honest, other than just laughing at the fact that all these fucking mental gymnastics copes that he uses to deal with the fact that all these uneducated conspiracy theorists got it right by accident. It's just like laughable levels of cope, really. But I mean, yeah, that's it. What do you expect? I mean, it's like I said, any of these big channels, any of the big things, it's difficult to get big unless you toe the line, isn't it?
Yeah. There was a time, not too long ago in recent history, where you could do all right, and you could but we're at the stage now where they're coming down on any sort of fucking. If you don't think right, I mean, you ain't allowed to publicise what you're thinking, mate.
Yeah. Like we said, they are coming down on the whole conspiracies thing. They made 2 mainstream media hit piece articles on Willsey, didn't they? After he come back to streaming, takes like a year off streaming, comes back, does 1-2 streams, and then immediately gets 2 mainstream media hit pieces. And was it the Times and the Mail or something? Going in on conspiracy theorists and la-di-da-di-da.
That's why I don't believe in fucking chemtrails, mate. Because you don't want to give them any credible cause to actually call him a conspiracy theorist.
Well, I mean, he's probably sensible there to try and appeal to a broad church, if you know what I mean. A lot of people aren't ready for crazy shit, are they?
I put it down to some people being of a different age and they can't actually remember what the sky used to look like.
Potentially. It'd be interesting to just interview tons of old people, just vox pop little quick ones in the street, just asking them if they've noticed a change in the sky since they were young.
No cunt looks up there though, do they?
Well, not now, but old people ain't on their phones as much as young people, so maybe some of them still have a look up there occasionally.
Maybe.
It might just be, the fact that there's massively increased air traffic since back then. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got to bear that in mind as well. It's like, I'm sure there's a lot more air travel. Like, we didn't have budget airlines and things like that, did we? In like the early 90s and stuff.
Yes, I suppose there may be some sort of.
And aside from whether they spray us with, barium oxide or whatever fucking chemicals or whatever, trying to manipulate weather or, atmospheric manipulation, climate manipulation, whatever it is, regardless of whether they do that, as we've established today, they can just legally kill us if they want to and they think they need to anyway. And that thinking they need to, that's the clearest thing about, they had a lot of reasons why they can do it, and they're going to be starting, like you say, to try and use that. And they already do use those sort of things against people with the definition of what constitutes dangerous or hateful is going to become really widened, doesn't it? And it already has done.
Exactly, that's the point. Bulldog said he went to BFA in 1990 on Ryanair or EasyJet.
Ryanair or EasyJet, yeah, I'm sure. Like, I can't remember what year that they came up. They were probably fucking early in 1990, weren't they? I swear, EasyJet and Ryanair, but they weren't as. I'm sure they weren't as prevalent. What I'm saying is they weren't as prevalent. I'm not saying they didn't exist. I said that they weren't as prevalent back then. Do you know what I mean?
No, you said air travel weren't as prevalent, and then you said
budget airlines didn't really. Because it wouldn't have been as budget like in the same way. I'm sure. Like I think it was like later than 1990 that things like real budget airline shit started. But EasyJet was started in 1995. Okay,
right.
Ryanair
has been 20 quid to get to Amsterdam ever since.
Yeah, 150 quid. So I can fly direct from Norwich. It's quite fucking convenient.
It is convenient, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's good. It's well good. Fine. 1984 is when it was founded. So it's probably Ryanair, mate.
Right.
Probably Ryanair. But it didn't... it wasn't a low-fare airline until the company restructured in 1990. And then they deregulated the air industry in 1992. So that's when low cost airlines really kicked off, like 1992, seemingly.
So it would be fair to say then there's been higher rate of traffic in the air since 1992.
Yeah, much higher. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm glad we managed to fix that then.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's possible explanations, isn't it? It's not to say, I mean, yeah, as we talked about earlier about throwing the baby out with the bathwater with some of these issues, it's like with the environmental issues we were saying, you can't discount protecting the environment and reducing pollution and making like a better environment for us all to live in and that sort of thing. Those are all good things. We should want to do those things. We should not want to knock down pave over every bit of national park and countryside that we have to build Barratt homes. The people who are claiming to be environmentalists now are not environmentalists, are they? Really? They're cult members following a mad ideology. I think environmentalism is actually based and good, and we should try and look after the environment and not pollute and not mindlessly just consume to make people who want to kill us rich, and give them more resources to kill us with. It doesn't make sense, does it? Rust says chemtrails are worse at the weekends. Do more people take flights at the weekends? That would definitely account for that if that was the case.
I'm not sure. Chemtrails seem worse at the weekends, mate. I'm sure chemtrails seem better at the weekends.
Do you reckon?
Well,
Well,
I think it's more to do with the fact that they have certain events going on and that, and they lay off of it or whatever.
Hmm.
I'm of the understanding that they can manipulate it all with that high altitude auroral research project.
well, Piers didn't seem to think that was the case, did he?
Yeah, but Piers is all about the London School of Economics and all the rest of it, isn't he?
Yeah, but he does have a degree in astrophysics, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
And he does have a weather. What is it? Weather. What is it called? His website.
Weather Watch or weatheraction.org, I think. Weather Action.
So it is kind of his wheelhouse, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, but Piers would rather argue for the theory of gravity than the law of density, mate. So when I talk about things floating, like
If it
for
gets a
instance,
bit too fucking crazy.
when I talk about things, because he's talking about gravity and mass attracting things, and I'm saying, all right, so what about helium molecules and that? And then he starts talking about the density. I'm saying, well, that's a different thing entirely. Like you can't argue gravity when something's falling, and then argue for density when it's rising. Density is the law in physics. Gravity is a theory. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's things like that you just pick up on. You think, well, how much truth are you telling me, mate? Because that still don't make no fucking sense in my head.
Well, it's
like,
his truth. I'm sure he's telling you his truth. I don't think he's intentionally trying to mislead you there. He's just using what is like commonly accepted knowledge and like his reasoning that he's been taught. I don't necessarily think he's. They spied on Piers, didn't they?
He's a clever man. He's a clever
Piers'
man.
name comes up repeatedly in the documents relating to the spy cops, the undercover policing scandal. They spied on Piers a ton. His name's
For
in there
about
loads.
30 fucking years.
Yeah, they were all
Oh.
up in Piers' grill, man.
I interviewed him about it before at some fucking place.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think. I don't know. It could be one of those cases where, like I said before, like if you wanted to discredit a movement, having like peers and like people not wearing shoes, people like without a top on, barking like a dog, and just like an actual clown show, like that'd be a great way to discredit a movement. So just like letting him go at it.
Well,
It's not like he's super threatening. If he's like some fucking aggressive, like alpha men assemble type like fucking thing, then like they would probably have seen Piers slightly differently and treated him slightly differently to the sort of bumbling old man facade that he's using to. Is Piers a gangster? Yeah, Piers is a gangster, mate. He's a gangster.
Hey, Piers would have you go missing, mate, if you ain't careful.
Piers will go missing when he forgets where he's parked his car.
His car he's got back. I'll have you know.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. We laughed, didn't we? Because we were like, I thought he lost that car, and then he was there.
No, I do believe I recall him saying something along the lines of he's got to go up to Liverpool and collect it or something.
How did he get it back? Did he just tell him that he was a free man on the land, do a 360 and just moonwalk out of court?
I presume so. It was either that or give them a load of money.
They literally didn't even want his car. They saw the state of it. They're like, yeah, this just take it. If I can get it out of here. Yeah, I don't understand how he got that back. Because I thought if you got your car nicked off you for like, didn't he not just pay tax and had loads of tickets on it and all this?
Yeah, right.
Like, how the fuck does he drive that thing around central London and get away with it?
I thought what's it called? I thought they crush it after.
Yeah, that used to be a thing, didn't it? They just take your car away and crush it.
For months. That car was gone for fucking months, mate. How did he get that back?
That's what I don't understand. I really do not understand that. just turns back up in that car that got taken off him. Has anyone else had a car taken off them for like not having loads of tickets on it, not having any fucking like proper docs and all that, and then fucking he must all have proper docs on that, mustn't he? He must have it all fucking like taxed and insured and everything.
Well, to get it back, you'd assume so, wouldn't you?
He bought it back. Fuck you, saying he bought it back.
He went to the. Did he go?
Well,
to
the auction. He went to the auction and bought his own car. What a fucking legend, mate.
Yeah,
what
I think
a
that's
fucking
the story.
legend.
That is the story, actually.
Oh my days, that is so funny. See, if I would have known he's done that, I would have said someone should have fucking gone with him to film it, because that would have just been pure comedy, wouldn't it? Especially if you went with him.
Yeah.
That would have been fucking absolutely top keck, mate.
Corbyn is the eye of the pyramid.
Corbyn. What?
Just a comment, mate. I'm reading out. Comment. I'm reading out loud.
That's actually a absolutely based fucking thing, isn't it? Racking up 40 grand in fines, like letting them take it away and then buying it back for a few hundred quid.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, mate? Oh, Piers is actually a top level genius, boys. We should have put more faith in him. We should have done what he said and taken down the BBC. Taken down the BBC.
Oh, mate. No, that whole thing was there. Like, all it is fucking illegitimate son there with his curly hair and his no shoes on and that. Oh, fucking Mace, all of it. It was a fucking shit show, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you wanted to discredit a movement, like pretty much all you could have done to top it was have someone riding a fucking unicycle and juggling at the front. But then again, Piers actually did fire breathe, so we actually made it to full circus fucking mode, didn't we? Really?
Yeah, realistically, that was that stage.
Pretty ridiculous. But like I say, it's all transformed now, isn't it? Everyone's getting productive. We're moving into a new paradigm where people are moving into a form of action and some sort of lawful rebellion against the corruption that we are currently experiencing as a society.
Yeah, we just need to bear in mind that fucking they will stop at nothing to entrap you.
Yeah. So do bear that in mind.
Always at the forefront, but don't worry. Don't let it incapacitate you.
Do not let it incapacitate you. Don't let it. Sweet dreams.
Yeah. There you go.
Sweet dreams are made of this.
Absolutely pissing down in the middle of July, boys.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? It's proper nice summer weather at the moment.
My towel's on the line. Fuck's sake. It's too late now.
Fuck it. So yeah, when you plan your next stream, Jim, you doing another one tomorrow night? Hustle and get a guest on for tomorrow.
I don't know. I might have to not do one tomorrow because I think I've got some other bits to do.
That's all good. Fucking
Well,
the stream series will be continuing anyway, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. We do need to. I do want to. Oh, that's another thing as well. I want to remind people about the protests at the same time.
Oh yeah. So when was that?
That's I think the 4th or the 5th.
Because the 4th is the Friday, and people were saying the 4th before, but so there's already confusion on this. We need to fucking drill down whether it's the 4th.
It's the September.
It would be the 4th, wouldn't it? Because if it's Parliament going back.
No, the 3rd. It's the 3rd then.
Oh, it's the 3rd.
They want to be there on the Sunday to camp, but I don't know if there's going to be enough people there to camp. I think that people might just get chawed there and then. But I don't know. Are we allowed to camp in the green still? Because that's not fucking what's it called?
Depends what you mean by camping, mate. Depends what you mean by camping.
Are we allowed to put tents on the green?
Well, people are just going to have to get smart about it, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? We're going to need to read the bylaws. If people are saying, "Oh, we're going to go camp there," it's like, okay, well, let's be organised about this stuff. Let's start thinking about this stuff. Like, if you want to do lawful rebellion and stay within the law, then we need to know what the law is. So we need to find out what bylaws are.
But that's people are not thinking about that. When they say lawful rebellion, people aren't thinking statutory rebellion. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but we've got to
I
be
know what you're saying.
statutory.
I know what
correct
you're
with it.
saying. We are confined by these laws, and now I do get it.
And we're on YouTube, is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
I'm sure you can't camp Parliament Square, Patrick. But what I'm thinking is that if you studied the law regarding what you could do around that, like then you might be able to figure some way to camp without camping. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, you mean gazebos rather than tents?
Yes, something like that. Yeah, I'm talking about like a fishing shelter because it's got an open side. It's not
Yeah,
technically a
bivouac.
tent or some shit. Or
Yeah,
do you know what I
yeah.
mean? A bivvy bag or something like that. I mean, yeah, I don't know what laws do they use for moving on hobos in central London.
Fuck knows. I don't think they do. Well, Westminster they may do. Well,
Yeah, Westminster. I'm sure they've got some bylaws to do. Do you know what I mean? That place is bylawed out the arsehole, isn't it?
Mm.
Well, you're not going to have music though, actually, unless you just go full on mental case and just start a campfire in the middle of there and get like fucking, 5,000 people. Just, do you know what I mean? The thing is, right? We know they monitor this stuff. Like, you know that there's going to be loads of old Bill there that day. Hello, old Bill, who are monitoring us. Like, there's literally no point monitoring us because we don't actually do anything. But it is what it is, isn't it? It's just like we said. It's the state of play.
Well,
If it's dry England for the English, yeah, but it's not, is it, mate? It's fucking been pissing it down all July. That's the problem we've got at the moment.
Global warming, mate.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible, isn't it? Just the way that the news has completely pivoted to like, yeah, but it's hot somewhere. It's hot somewhere.
Joking.
And then there's people over in those places going, yeah,
Not
it's
even
not
that,
actually
though.
that
It's
hot.
not-
It's they're measuring the temperatures off of hot tarmac on fucking airports rather than where they used to just measure an air temperature in a weather station.
They say it's 1.2 meters above the ground, this, that, and the other. But the point is, they're still fucking lying about it because it's still 10 degrees hotter. They're reporting it's 10 degrees hotter than it actually fucking is.
Yeah, and they didn't used to measure it like that for a start.
Right.
And it's been hotter than this, even when they didn't used to measure it like this. And when they measure it a way that was fucking, do you know what I mean? It was measured lower temperatures. They still got higher temperatures sometimes than they're getting now. So none of it stacks up. We know this. It's just funny to watch the news cycle. Like we were saying, did we say about the other day about the fires in was it Rhodes? So I remember I was in Greek islands around like the year 2000 sometime, and there was planes like there was forest fires then, and no one really there's there's forest fires, but no one was freaking out or anything like that, and there wasn't as much smoke and stuff as there is on some of the ones that I've seen, but maybe it's just the pictures and the way they shoot it. Do you know what I mean? For the angles, when I was there, everyone was just like sitting in tavernas and stuff like that. It was like, oh yeah, we can't get the boat back to the other islands until like they put out some fires or something. We just sit in the taverna, have a couple of drinks, and we're watching these planes fly over, scoop up the water from the sea, and then fly over the burning forestry bits, drop the water onto the fires, and then fly back over the sea.
What are you saying? Normal procedure, not worthy of news.
Yeah, that's a normal procedure, not worthy of news. Yeah, that's what it was then, back when it wasn't part of a massive agenda. We had the hole in the ozone layer then. Which, if anyone's curious, I looked into the hole in the ozone layer thing because I was like, what was that psyop? Why did they bang on about that so hard in like the 90s and then just fucking like completely drop it? It's like, well, if you remember, they said that CFCs were making the hole in the ozone layer. Yeah, the CFCs that they claimed were these aerosols these chemicals that they claimed were making a hole in the ozone layer. They were patents owned by these, but I can't remember if it was like Monsanto or Bayer or one of those big ones like Bayer, or I think it was Bayer. And so the patents on these CFCs were about to expire. So they cook up this story about a hole in the ozone layer, lobby using fake environmental groups to ban these CFCs, and then they moved to a whole other bunch of refrigerants, which they still use today, which had just had the same sort of qualities as these other refrigerants that they were using previously, but they've got their patents on them again, so they can keep rolling on patents and making their money rather than letting it go into the public domain. They couldn't do that. They had to just ban it and use fake grassroots organisations, AstroTurf, to do so. And they did that fairly effectively back in the 90s.
Absolutely mental, mate.
But you literally never hear about a hole in the ozone layer anymore, do you?
So they ain't got fucking monetary incentives to get them to keep spinning the lie. They've got what they needed.
Yeah, exactly. The monetary incentives for the next load of shit. It's not just monetary incentives, is it? It's more than that. But like I say, it was just fucking. Yeah, we'll keep it fucking focused, I guess. Like we need to bring everyone together under broad church shit, like stopping the current level of corruption that we've got, before we fucking even get it. Because if we can stop the level of corruption, then that kind of solves all of the other reasons. Cheds 1, Catalonia, 2 arrested for arson. Yeah, mate. Yeah, that was where I was, and that was See, this is the thing with these fires; they are getting started by people half the time. I think a vast majority of them, they've already been able to like attribute the cause to it being someone has started the fire.
Tomorrow's world said we'd all be flying cars by now and in space.
Oh, mate, tomorrow's world has a lot to answer for, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they was on the money with fucking quite a lot of stuff, though, weren't they?
I don't even remember. I used to like Tomorrow's World when I was a kid.
But I mean, I think they was all right. They were on some stuff like.
Well, we were in a hopeful time then, weren't we? All these technological advancements were like practical things that would aid us in our lives and make our lives better, ostensibly. And now it's just like you're going to sit in a VR cyber tube while a machine wanks you off as you descend into the AI singularity. Do you know what I mean? It's not quite as inspiring as Space Dream is dead. People can't even fucking laugh about like one day we're going to be in space. So it's just got a bit retarded. Welshie, I need to get you in the Spurg Media group. You say big day down Llanelli.
Trying to jump on the whales bit, mate.
He's proper bang on it, mate. Big day down Llanelli Hotel saga court case tomorrow. So that's you're going to be talking about the whole invasion of fighting age men subject at some point, aren't you, Jim, on these streams?
Oh yeah, well it's just one of the things, isn't it? It's like,
it's a key thread.
Yeah, to all of this shite.
Yeah. So maybe like we said about pushing the protest as the last thing, but like we don't 100% know what the date of that is. It's somewhere around the first week of August.
Well, this is the thing. It's already started with uncertainty because it was like, get down there for the 4th, we're not going to let them in. And now someone's had the bright idea that they're going to camp out there the night before. It's like, is that the brightest idea? You're not
disruption, mate.
You're not going to stop them from getting in. Yeah, but I don't.
That's what I'm saying. That is disruption. Someone had an idea. The idea was to go there on the 4th, and then other people have started disrupting by sticking their oars in. Like, it might be potentially best if everyone sticks to like one plan. I mean, this is the thing. Until you start getting posters for the event shared around on Telegram and things like that, it's hard to say a concrete date, isn't it? Because it's like, do you know what I mean? If this is a grassroots thing and no one is specifically organising it, then.
Where's Mitch? Mitch needs to make some flyers.
Do you know what I was going to say? I might just do what was it? Gary Neville protest Mark II.
Yeah, right. Easy.
I think Spurg Media shall fully engage in promoting this.
Well, she's in Llanelli.
Well
done, Welshie.
Are you going to be streaming, Welshie? Yeah, Patrick says it's fancy dress as well. So make sure you turn up in fancy dress.
What, Llanelli?
No, the protests.
Oh, right.
At Parliament.
Right,
Yeah, Gary Neville protest Mark II. That was good of Gary Neville and Patrick to organise a big protest like that.
When shit hits the fan. What are you talking about? Your protest, Welshie?
He might just be talking about it in general.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm not certain.
Get a panel going, Jim. Jim, get a panel going.
No, I'm turning the screen off. I'm fucking shattered, mate.
Gary Neville Mark II not turn up. No, the Gary Neville protest was big, mate. That was one of the big last
That was a big day.
times.
That was a big day,
Yeah.
mate. It was a long day.
Yeah, it's a big one. Big news coming. Oh, well, she's got big news coming, boys. Stay tuned to Base Welshman's channel.
Chickens having babies.
Big news. She says Trigger's having babies.
Yeah.
Subscribe to his Instagram for puppy pics. Nink's asking, are you selling merch at the Freedom Festival, Jim? A range of Peaky Blinder hats with your slogans across the peak, perhaps? No, but there is more merch coming soon, isn't there? You are actually going to do some unironic merch.
I need to fucking. I've got a fella who's willing to make t-shirts, but I need to knock up the designs for him, and I just haven't got round to it. To be honest with you.
Yeah,
I've been creative. I've been getting creative ideas for things to put on t-shirts.
Yeah.
For instance, the Ginger Beards Off Our Streets t-shirt.
We need, mate. It'd be so funny turning up and just imagine the copper's face when you've got 5 people in ginger beards.
Look, have you seen the thing today? Hang on, quickly. Let me get this up for everyone. Look at this. This is how you know we're hitting fucking all kinds of chords with them. We're striking chords with them, yeah. Because it's fucking
chords are being struck.
Yeah, mate. I don't think anyone's. But yeah. Present this.
Yes, Patrick, you can design one. Spurg Media. There's going to be some Spurg Media merch at some point as well.
Police drop beard ban after officers refuse to shave.
Can we put that article on the t-shirt?
Look at that.
Can we have a screenshot of that article?
Yeah, I mean,
a screenshot of the headline and then Ginger Beards Off Our Streets.
Look at that, man. That's a fucking ginger beard. Isn't it strange, though? Isn't it strange, like, it's the Met and it's a ginger beard? Well, who would have thought that? Yeah, we got that fucking years ago. We've been shouting about that for years. Fuck you. That was us. That was us. Yes, it was.
Simon Johnson's just doing a little correct, not political reference.
Fucking little twat, mate. I bet he's ginger and all. Fucking twat. Muslims, they mean. No, I think they mean the hairy ginger cunts, mate, to be quite honest with you. Let me tell you, I've been out there for the last few years, and I've come. It's not. I don't just shout things that I don't notice. Like, normally if I've shouted something, I've noticed it. Like, so there's no fucking ginger without fucking fire. Right, basically. And this ain't an anti-ginger stance that I have. This is an anti-fucking Nazi police stance that I have.
Specifically, police with ginger beards. You get a pass if you're not a cop.
It's a big generalisation, but more often than not, they do tend to have ginger beards, mate. That's the thing.
Yeah. It's a strangely disproportionate amount of ginger beards.
Yes, it is, mate.
Yeah, Spurg Media body pillows are going to be coming out soon as well. So don't forget to get your Spurg Media body pillow. Right, we should roll up, Jim, because my contact lens is coming out my eye.
Sweden, I was thinking the same thing. I need to go and have a poo-poo. Right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thank you, Alex, for being a massive help and explaining it to everyone now.
Yes, all right. Cheers, mate. Cheers, chat. Catch you all later.
See you later, boys.
Peace.